The male experience is highly lonely. There is a lot of lack of support and things like that. And that's the part that a lot of people miss when they criticize men. Because really, who's showing men to show up?
We are sentient. We live our life through feeling. So what does that mean when if you say I don't feel?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 8. We're your hosts, Ethiopia and Magnolia, complex trauma specialist, parenting specialist, sex addiction therapists. And yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get
Today,
into it.
today we're talking a little bit about why fathers are important. Imagine, if you will, for a sec. Relax while I read these words to you. Imagine that you're there chilling, you're a kid, just trying to have fun, relax. Things are boring, maybe. And then imagine that you don't really have connection, actually. You're neglected, you look like a fly on the wall, you're pretty unseen, nobody knows what's going on with you inside, no one cares to know what's going on with you inside. Or with your feelings, and people don't even think that you have feelings. You get objectified, ignored. You're only called when you're needed or when you're in trouble. People don't really hug you like they hug your sisters. You're not allowed to express too many of your emotions or any at all. You're not allowed to ask for help. You're not allowed to receive help. And this is the experience of most people that I know. And also in particular, we're here to highlight the male experience today. Tends to be a lot of what people experience, right, growing up. I think by and large, we're just gonna use male, female, women, man today, but please, generalize it to yourself. And I know people have different experiences. Of course, we live in a very gender diverse world. That is okay. We honor that. For the sake of simplicity, this is what we're going to be using today. And so, for the most part, women tend to be socialized to be social, to be caring and different things like that, right? I remember when I was in college, they talked a lot about how girls were socialized to play with dolls. And with those dolls, they learned about nurturing and taking care of children and different things like that. Whereas boys were socialized to play loudly by crashing and engaging in a lot of violent acts, really, shooting and hitting and pushing and all these things. And that really set someone up. I mean, that's you're taking the person in the environment and putting them in a different environment, right? And back in the day, I mean, in the 90s and before, it was weird, right? And there were really rigid expectations around gender. And if you were a girl who was a tomboy and you wanted a rough house and different things like that, it was weird. And if you were a boy who wanted to play with dolls and things like that, that was weird, right? So there's all the shame, and then it's like, well, do I listen to myself or do I listen to other people? How do I still do what I need to do, but also still fit in and get my needs met? It's a balance. So the male experience is highly lonely. There is a lot of lack of support and things like that. And that's the part that a lot of people miss when they criticize men. Because really, who's showing men to show up? Women? Kind of, right? And I think that's okay. And if we're going to do that, it's most helpful if we're going to be gentle and empathetic and patient, right? Because people learn when they're safe. Behavioral change happens when people feel safe in their bodies. And if they feel threatened by criticism and things like that, it is going to be hard to learn. And then it's going to build resentment over time and things like that. So, pause. I just said a lot. What does that invoke in you? Where do you stand? Where have you been in these dynamics? And then where are you choosing to be headed as you move forward, right? So just reflecting there. Okay. Really, we're going to talk about why fathers are important, but really it's men's mental health. So like let's just say here at the beginning that women are by and large more available physically than men. There are more women in the world actually than men, right? So that's one thing. And then also speaking to like where I grew up, there weren't a lot of men because like they were, I don't know, away for work because they were construction workers or stuff like that. So they just literally weren't present because they had to work really hard to earn a living, or they were in jail, or they had died due to gang violence. So literally, men were there for reasons that were extreme situations, actually, right? And so, who was really raising these boys? It's just women, right? And I think it's really hard for anybody who doesn't have role models, and especially who doesn't have role models that look like them. So it's like, imagine how these boys felt too, like just being there and like not having other men that they could trust or things like that, or they wanted to trust, they wanted to be vulnerable, but then they were shamed for that, made fun of for that, roasted for that. It's a really alienating experience. And yeah, I mentioned in a former episode, but there are psychological theories, and I align with these theories that say that, and even metaphysical theories that say that with the feminine, when you have a mom, right, she, a mother figure, represents how you treat yourself and how kind you are or are not to yourself, how much you criticize or do not yourself. Whereas the dad figure is going to be how you actually feel about yourself, your self-esteem, how you assert yourself and relate with the world, right? When people have fathers figures that are more assertive, kind, empathetic, supportive, protective, people tend to fare better, feel better about themselves, interface with the world more easily, and have higher sense of self-esteem. I feel really nervous. A lot of assertiveness, right? Be able to like speak to their needs and different things like that. Okay. Um, period. And then I'll say like, look, it's really easy to make fun of these themes. It's really easy to make fun of me. It's easy to make fun of this content. It's a lot. So I feel it. So I'm not sure who's listening to this episode, but I feel it. So I'll take a breath and I invite you to take a breath with me. Yes. And please notice that because if you feel motivated to make fun of this content, what's coming up for you? Because typically what happens there is there's something within you that's trying to defend yourself and your stance. There's a part of you that feels threatened by this content. Yeah. And I extend empathy toward you for that. And I invite that part of you to soften and take its time if it chooses to expand into this learning experience. Because that's how we grow. Okay. So, yeah, I think I'll leave it there for now and hand it over to you.
Yeah, when I think about how important fathers are, I mean, it 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 feels almost ridiculous to even say fathers are important. Just like, of course they're important. And then like being in this place of curiosity on, well, what happened that this is what we're saying? This is what must be said. Um, and then also just considering too, like with the scenario that you gave with like the men that had to work really hard and working long hours, away from the family, and those that got locked up, and then those who were murdered, right? And then all of this responsibility being left to women to be single parents raising children, like the level of capacity to actually raise the child, but also women are socialized to keep the order. So you're not going to be a woman that wants your typically, okay, because I know people who have done different with their sons. Yet to have their sons be emotional, sensitive, open communicating men, aka a soft man, aka a womanly man. So, what's the name of this website again? It's called A Call to Men. A Call to Men. When they talk about, well, one of the things that I took away from A Call to Men, this organization that speaks about healthy manhood, is um, that the worst thing for a man to be called is a woman. So if the woman is, and then we as women also will recognize that and do that. Like I promise you, when I see the amount of women that are engaged, what I assume to be women because of their profile on social media, that will say, "Oh, why did he turn like that? That looks suspect. That looks fruity. That looks gay. That looks feminine." Like we've been socialized to be very harsh and rigid on what men are supposed to do, right? Men are supposed to walk like this, and men are not supposed to cry. And so imagine now it's your responsibility to make sure that you raise a man. You're doing that same thing. As a woman, you're gonna teach your son the same. You're gonna say, "Don't cry." Like, be quiet, like, man up. And so, um, and I think that there's a lot of pressure there to get things right. So you spoke to some of the reasons why, systematically why men are not available. And then I think we might have talked about this before, yet there's also the thing of like, just culturally, men don't have to be there because, again, the responsibility of free domestic labor falls on women for the most part. So, domestic labor, housework, I know I was socialized that that is like woman's work. So, there's this thing where it's like, you'll have the man that says, yeah, like, I'll be home babysitting my child. It's like, you're not babysitting your child. That's your child. Yet, because of how the culture is, that the man does not have to be there physically, much less emotionally. Um, that's why it's important to say that having the father there matters. That fatherhood matters.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. I see this often and it hurts my feelings. I actually don't have any sons, but I definitely wanted to. Growing up, I mean, I was closer to my dad than my mom, and I had a lot of guy friends, and heck yeah, I wanted to have sons because I thought that'd be really fun. But the universe had other plans. It's been healing to have daughters and extremely triggering. It's been extremely triggering and healing at the same time.
There's
But
still time.
there's still time. Yeah, sure, sure. God willing, yes.
That was a joke.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. I mean, yeah. But I haven't had any, right? Sons. I have had nephews.
Hmm.
Um, and they've been like my sons in a lot of ways, but it hurts my feelings when okay, if you're into astrology, my moon is in Cancer, okay? And so I'm like extremely sensitive. Absolutely. All the feelings, we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna feel them, we're gonna do the thing, right? And I was socialized that way, and then I was the baby of the family, so I think that really reflects itself that way. But I'm saying it hurts my feelings like to hear a little boy crying or whatever. It's just like, it's a baby, bro. It's a baby. And they're crying. Okay, what do we do with babies when they cry? We bring them in and we comfort them, right? Ideally. But instead, a lot of the times parents are like, all right, yeah, suck it up, keep going, keep playing, go over there, don't cry. And it's like, I can viscerally feel it as I look at these little boys, right? They're like crying and stuff, or like maybe they'll run to their mom even or their dad, right? And then the parents push the kid away. They're like, "Stop. You can't be sad with me."
Mm,
And then you can see the kid get crushed, and then you see a lot of dissociation happen.
mm,
And so when someone experiences that level of rejection, what's gonna happen? I mean, how are they gonna treat themselves? They're learning a lot of things. I can't be sad. No one cares about me being sad. I can't go to anyone. I can't trust anybody. Can't trust myself. Yes, I feel this, but I need to suck it up anyway and just do the opposite of what I feel actually. I mean, that's sad, and that puts somebody at a lot of risk. And this is why I think we tend to see a lot of addiction with men in general, because, like, hello, where the heck are they going to turn? The addiction, like one, yes, they objectify themselves, right? We're gonna talk a little bit about the man box. Ethiopia has a something that's really interesting.
mhm,
And objectifying oneself, and then at the same time, addictions serve as an attachment figure. We all need attachment figures, we all need secure attachments, but it's like, right, this is my addiction, and like they're always here for me. And really that's what's happening in a very, 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 very subconscious level. But yeah, dissociation absolutely feeds all of that. The lack of skills, skill building, and things like that. I mean, especially if you grew up in a hard environment, right? Hard, like you have to be hard. It's completely unacceptable. You can't talk about these things lest you get roasted
mhm.
or called gay, you know? But even if you are gay, okay, cool. So what? Does that mean you're not gonna support me? Maybe. Okay, then that's even worse. Like, you know,
Yep.
what you got?
Yeah. Yeah, this I totally agree. I was just sitting here like, yo, like imagine how difficult it is for men that even now men can't eat a banana, just eat a banana. Like everything is so in our culture, um, everything is so sexualized and like demonized and how do you as a man have a healthy relationship with yourself and other men if everything is labeled as being gay, which is demonized.
And even the way that men hug, right? Can't just hug you head on. You gotta give you like a side hug if you're a guy, and I gotta give you a pat. I saw some videos around that, and it's just like I started looking around and like legit, that's what happens. Like guys tend to pat each other, just because it's just like, hey yeah, bro, just so it's super clear that I'm not gay. Here you go, give you the little pat.
Right, right. And that's why with a call to men when it was like, yo, um men are socialized to to think that the worst thing that they could be is anything that is woman, right? And so think about, I don't, all right, I don't, I'm making an assumption here, but I'm like, think about the client, the men clients you work with who are like, no, I just do things logically and rational. I'm just logical and rational. I don't use emotion. I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you serious? That cannot happen. That's impossible. You cannot move just logically. But even when I say that there is emotion there for you, it's always like, nope, nope, because that's how much emotion is attached to womanness, feminine, right? That it's like, no, 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 no. I can't have that. I can't have that at all in me because that means that I'm not a man. And so this rigid structure for men that it's an interesting thing because it's a play into how I can be the dominant one. To be the dominant one, I have to give up everything. I have to fully disconnect and dissociate from my authentic self to gain access to the man box.
Yes. And the dissociation stems from shame. This is experience is way too overwhelming. I'm just gonna disconnect from my body, disconnect from these people, disconnect from myself, and be elsewhere. And then also over time, yes, that turns into living in a fantasy world in the mind, right? A lot of daydreaming, things like that, being really logical. So like looking at things metaphysically, we have seven chakras, right? It's okay if you don't believe in them. You can skip over this and you don't have to agree with me if that's the case. But I do believe that we have seven chakras. And so let's look at it this way and then I'll look at it literally, okay? So but here, I mean like the neck is what connects the head to the body. That's the literal side of it. Here we have the throat chakra. So Chinese medicine, metaphysics, chiropractic, honestly even somatic psychology a little bit more the others say that. I mean, you tend to start having thyroid problems. That's a way that the body keeps the score. The more dissociated you are, the more that you're living in your head. There's this technique that I study called contact reflex analysis, and I'm getting certified in it in a couple months. And it says that the heart is the queen bee. Everything serves the heart. The heart emits the most energy. Primarily, the heart connects to the brain, not so much the brain. There's more signals going from the heart to the brain than the brain to the heart.
Mhm.
And the number one backup system to the heart, meaning things aren't functioning, it's too emotional, whatever, I'm denying myself in some kind of way, my human experience of emotions, cutting off that energy is the brain. So then when someone's super logical, man or woman or whatever, like that's what's going on there. Like really, straight up, that's a given. Period. And then over time, I mean, that's gonna cause a lot of things. And then like it's like there's underactivation of energy here, and then there's too much energy over here. It's just a constant imbalance. As that continues, you start to have other backup systems go into place. So then you start to have thyroid problems, and then you start to have adrenal problems, and then you start to have problems with your joints because your joints basically are batteries for your heart, right? So then you start to have knee problems and you start to have ankle problems and shoulder problems. And then worst case, you have problems with your sacral area, which is your lower back. I mean, how many people do you know with lower back problems? A ton. And it's like, one, get adjustments. Get adjustments by your
All
chiropractor
the
if you
time.
can. Check it out. Check it out.
Yeah.
And secondly, like, it's all trauma stored there, right? Yeah. And if your voice doesn't speak, if your heart doesn't speak, then your body will.
Right. I love that you brought the heart into it and speaking to um the lack of coherence between the heart and the brain, right? If you're always just in your brain, in your mind, you are moving oftentimes from cognitive distortion. Period. Period. Like, if you're always in your mind, because your mind has been conditioned, and the conditioning oftentimes is a lie. It's a lie that men are not emotional. Then recently I found out that testosterone, testosterone is what causes um really big emotions, feeling really big emotions. And then I mean, women, we have testosterone and we definitely need testosterone. I need to get my testosterone up, actually. But I was socialized that women are estrogen and men are testosterone. Wait, testosterone is big emotion energy, and then wait a minute, men don't feel? Yo, the lies that we've been socialized with. So when you're in your mind, that conditioned place of like relying on your mind, like the woman I worked with, Sharon Boyles, is always like, it's your best thinking that got you here, right? Because you're in that place of ruminating and you're not tapping in to a very beautiful source of being. We are sentient. We live our life through feeling. So what does that mean when if you say I don't feel? And so, like, what men have been stripped of to be in that position of dominance, right, is what replicates the dominance. The on the website for Call the Men, there's something there around, I forget exactly what the statistic is, but the more men are raised in a machismo way, the more likely they are going to have intimate partner violence, because the more the more hyper or the hyper masculine person, the alpha male, is saying, I am man and everything else is less than me. Everything.
Do you see
Woman,
how,
child, everything.
sorry, do you
No,
see
you're right.
how that feels more disconnection too?
And so it allows a system of domination, of violence, of disconnection, of dissociation, of pain, lack of clarity, confusion to persist.
Hmm.
And this for me is like, this is why I do the work that I do, because it's like I want you to know, I want you to experience something that is beautiful within you. That is justice. And when I think about the men I grew up with, the stuff that I've witnessed with men, the things that I've encountered with men, and I'm like, man, you were just so freaking hurt
Exactly.
and confused. And there will always be this kind of like pushback on, oh, that's soft, or that's whatever, or you stupid, or whatever. It's like, yo, it's difficult. We need to do a podcast on this too. It's difficult for people to recognize they've been duped.
Hmm.
That's a hard place to be, is to realize, yo, I've been totally bamboozled.
Hmm. Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Absolutely. We're a system, right? Our body is a system, and so like part of that system is the heart, part of the system is the brain. And when we're brain dead, we're still alive. You can function without your brain, but you can't when your heart dead, you're dead.
You did.
Right. Not my words, but yes. Your emotions matter. Your experience matters. Your pain matters more than anything. It makes sense that you would be masking for so long in society, and I'm sorry that you've had to do that. I'm sorry that you're forced to be hard. This is for anybody, particularly men, but if you need these words, please receive those gifts.
Yeah, and I'm just going to go back to how emotional wellness, being connected with your heart, being fully connected, being able to feel, having the capacity to feel your emotions and be clear about it is justice.
Yeah.
That is wellness, right? And even though we've been socialized to believe that, well, I don't need all of that. Oh, all I need is my G-Wagon. All I need is that Lamborghini and 10,000 bitches. Every man that comes in and sits with me that is ready to receive, because some ain't ready to receive initially, they recognize all I ever wanted was to be connected more with myself and others.
Yes.
So it's possible.
Absolutely. And we need to support each other, man. Really, like just humanity. As I said, look, let's say you're a woman and then men are trying to come to you, like you have friends or whatever, family that are like, hey, I have these feelings or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And you hold resentments toward men. Okay, cool. Notice that. Then make a decision. Are you able to engage in these conversations with them or are you not? And if you're not, then set a boundary. Thank you so much, Ethiopia, for letting me know. And right now, I'm not in a place where I can hold space for you. I'm so sorry. Rather than just like taking out your aggressions and projections. I mean, that's not helping anybody. Helping to cultivate other spaces for other men. I mean, like communities, men's groups. There's men's support groups out there. There's different organizations too that work with a lot of men. Like I know that I have a friend that works with Fathers of New Mexico. There's there's different organizations like that too. But yeah, just know that you matter, right? I mean, and men have higher suicide rates and they have higher incidents of health problems and high blood pressure and all these things. It's like, well, duh. They're bottling it all up and they don't have anybody to talk to and they have so much pressure. Like, it's sad. And then a note, because I don't know if I've said this before, but mansplaining, mansplaining is a symptom of all of this. Men are here, they want to help, they want to provide, they need to be useful, right? And so you're coming to me, Ethiopia, with the problem. Yeah, I'm gonna mansplain, not because I'm trying to be condescending to you. If I'm condescending, that's a separate issue. Not because I'm trying to be condescending to you, but that's because I'm fully up here and I can't really connect to you. That's why it's hard for me to validate your emotions as a man, because I'm not connected with my emotions and they stress me out, but I can fix it. And I can fix it with these solutions and this information that I have in my head. So that's a spin on mansplaining. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. We hope to see you next time. Take care.
Bye.